So, there I was, swiping my life away on the Devil app when something came across my FYP alongside the sludge line of sexy NPC roleplays and inconsiderately filmed trendy dance videos. And I thought to myself, neat. Naturally, it was time to go up to the internet box and order one for myself. I figured this thing might sound like garbage, but it might also not, and sometimes that's a risk worth taking. Now that it's finally here, let's see how it sounds. Checking 1, 2, 3. So, not great. There are some other buttons here, and I could probably read the manual to figure out what they do, but I like doing this the old-fashioned way as the Lord intended, by just poking and prodding at it. Seems like we've got a skip forward and back button, and controls to change the pitch up and down. I wonder if those are maybe reasonably accurate. The Maniac version here does also have some built-in effects, and I know we trigger those with the handle over to the left, so let's see what those are all about. Stutters things. Echo is like a basic digital delay effect. And what about warble? All around, sounds pretty terrible. Since my friend David Hillowitz is also a big fan of the kitschy bits of yesteryear, I figured I might as well let him in on my latest acquisition, because he's always down to try something weird, so why not? I don't know if musical sounds will translate all that well, so let's try something like a basic wave. There's not an input jack or anything, so we're gonna have to record this the good old-fashioned way. Okay, well, not great, but whatever. I'm curious, though, if these pitch shifting options are actually musical or if it's just up and down at random intervals. Okay. So it seems like it's up a major third and down a perfect fifth, but neither is really that accurate. I don't know. Let's try something a bit more interesting with it. Huh. It seems like it can also loop, so let's try something else with that. Well, if you like lo-fi, it doesn't get much more lo-fi than that. I guess the next order of business is trying these out on a sampler, but there's no headphone jack to record from, so we also get to do that the hard way. Definitely a bit on the rough side, so let's do a bit of science here and see if we can't make this sound any better. Okay, and now I suppose we finally get to hear the results. Honestly, not too shabby. Definitely has that sort of creepy abandoned mall vibe. Well, I guess you know what that means. Guess it's time to make a sample library. Okay, it's been a couple days. David sent me some stuff, I recorded some stuff, and let's see where we're at. Lots of cool glimmery textures and stuff, but a few problems. The first thing to address is definitely noise. Even just a simple sine wave on this sounds like a hissy, garbled mess. To fix that though, I guess all we need to do is just add a low-pass filter. Okay, cool. I think next order of business, things are still just feeling a bit bland. I think the most obvious solution is just to add some effects, so I added a delay and reverb, and I added a couple more cheesy effects, kind of like on the yak back itself. Not sounding too bad, but I think the next big problem is dynamics. Multi-sampling any kind of velocity layers with this thing is just not going to happen, so instead we're going to have to do this with a tiny bit of code trickery. Now this should respond a bit more to dynamic playing and feel a bit better. Now I think we're starting to get somewhere, but I think the other problem remains that things just still feel a bit boring. Realistically, there's a lot of ways to get around that with effects and processing, so let's throw these sounds through some pedals and see where that lands us. Nice. As the old saying goes, when in doubt, just add microcosm. Which I guess means now it's really time to get to work and wrap this thing up. It's been about a week and a half, and I guess that means we can finally listen to the more or less final result. We ended up with a ton of variety and just over 80 presets in the library because we recorded so many different acoustic and synthetic sources, but then pushed them a bit more with pedals to create a set of what we called Evo presets that evolved the sounds into something a bit different. This was a pretty fun project. It was a lot of work, and the Yak Back is definitely not something I would sample with again, but it really gave us some pretty interesting sounds for what ultimately was a kid's toy, so I guess now we can wrap it up and get it ready to release. And now, with a bit of blood, sweat, tears, and just a touch of elbow grease, I now present Bitscape 95, which means I think we're done.